Hello everyone. This rain team, from my understanding, is a bit of a sample team. Big shout out to Articuno fan from the PvP Council and giving their opinion about the team that I made. But this team in its entirety is a sample team from, aside from changes in its stats, and specifically TapuKoko existing. Possible replacements for TapuKoko is AV Tornadus Therian, Zapdos Heavy Duty Boots, or Draconium Z Raging Bolt, but I highly recommend going with the AV Tornadus Therian because it has Regenerator and allows for mobility. Also, run Heatwave on it. TapuKoko is only here to showcase Electric Shot and ElectricTerrain, but you know the drill. Get a snack, relax, and enjoy the video as we begin with the single loss of this video, because surprisingly, this team is pretty good. The only massive problem about my opponent's team here is the Ferrothorn. This team is a direct replica of KXZP's, Lando T, Clefable, and Ferrothorn core. Their channel is in the description if you want to check them out. From what little content I saw from them, they are really good team builders and are very knowledgeable about the game. Anyways, there's an instance in this match when it was Pharaoh versus Pharaoh, because the opponent switched into Urshifu to knock out my own Ferrothorn. Or because they wanted to knock out my own Ferrothorn with Urshifu. However, because I knew it was going to happen, I don't know why I didn't power up the Urshifu. I just knocked out this Choice Scarf the first time, which is still good, but it happened again. Power Whip on switching from Shifu would have 100 knocked it out and made my position more winning for me, but unfortunately that was my first game on. I wasn't really locked in yet. Eventually, I dwindled their team really well with Mega Swampert knocking out that annoying Ferrothorn after sacrificing my Pelipper. And I don't know why they did an Ice Shard with Weavile to knock out my Swampert. Maybe they thought I was switching to Greninja, but that let my Ferrothorn out, but instantly lose to Shifu because I thought I would live close combat. There was no situation where I would have lived that. Finally, it was the 3v1, my Gren versus Mega Latios, Clefable, and Lando team. I should have gone to Dark Bolt because I would have won that game if I did. Mostly everything here on their team was low HP, like half or less than, or like less than half or a little bit over half. But because I surfed with Greninja, it was resisted by Mega Latios, so I failed to think ahead. Anyways, this was a very good and close match. This team was pushed, and this is why you need Heat Wave to fight off opposing Ferrothorns, because that Mon is annoying. Anyways, let's move on to my wins. This first dub was an AG, but yet again, I showed honor by not Dynamaxing and treating it as if it was OU. This game went very well for me, and I was able to show off for a bit why ElectricTerrain, Electric Shot is insane. That Dragapult was the only main threat to my team because if I eliminate that Mon, the Archaludon would go crazy. I managed to get rid of it because my opponent thought I would switch out, but I was confident they would try to set up or dragon towards me, which would be fine either way. They also had Focus Sash with the intention of living in OUCo from Dark Pulse, but Archaludon had those defensive stats to tank the +1 Dragon Darts easily, despite me being less than 25% HP when going up against their Kyogre at the end. From there, bye bye Mewtwo, and I was hoping Kyogre would knock out Archaludon because it did his thing. And I won because TapuKoko is just very cool with cleaning up weaker mons with Wild Charge and Terrain. Moving on to my next win. This team's main threat to me was Zapdos, Noivern, and huge power Azumarill I thought had Belly Drum. It didn't. I was extremely worried they would Boom Burst more than half my HP, but it never came to that. Archaludon also did its thing here for a bit as well. I predicted the Volt Switch at the start of the Zapdos, but opted in setting the Terrain instead of going to Swampert Sweep. Then switching to Latias as I Mega Buffed into Swampert was dumb, so I got a free pick off that. I thought I would knock out the Venusaur, but I didn't and I lost Swampert because of that. Again, very dumb, I know, but I managed to knock that Frog out towards the end game. Once I knocked out Zapdos with Archaludon, I wasn't afraid of using any other water types. This player should have tried their hardest to preserve that Zapdos and get good switches against me. Once I got Battle Bond activated on Greninja after knocking out that Azumarill, I had a backup win condition for this match, and I was really in the lead. Due to ElectricTerrain Electric Shot, I did more damage to Venusaur than it was healing. Also, the rain contributed to that, and Archaludon is just that amazing in doing its own thing, especially against a Pokemon that resists it. Finally, Noivern got nuked harder than Raccoon City, if you know the reference, good for you. And I won that game by knocking out their Cloyster with Ferrothorn. Moving on to my victory against Rain's counterpart, Sun. We both led out with our weather setters, and I knew from the moment starting that game I needed to do something to get rid of their Charizard from the match. Then I noticed they don't have a way to remove hazards, so I did a really genius play. I switched my Archaludon against the Charizard, risky play, but I decided to sack Archaludon to get an advantage over weather control. I Draco Meteored hoping it would kill the Charizard. It didn't, but it was below 50% HP, meaning a Stealth Rock would kill this thing on switching and prevent Drought from activating, which is exactly what I did with Ferrothorn, and the exact reason why I added Stealth Rock in this set instead of Spikes. I threatened Wild Charge after getting rid of my own Archaludon with TapuKoko, and I Brave Birded to get rid of TapuKoko as well. I know I could have used U-Turn to use it as a body stack later, but I let that escape my mind completely. The moment they switched in, the moment they switched out of Charizard, I won that game because I went against Swampert with Ferrothorn in any situation. I also did a crazy read on Hatterene after setting up rocks and knew they were going to Mystical Fire, so I swapped in the Greninja and got that Battle Bond up for another win condition. I Mega Evolved my Swampert with Rain Up against theirs and won the game by sweeping their team. They forfeited, seeing I had to win because of my Pokemon advantage and weather control. I hope you enjoyed this video because this team was really fun to accidentally stumble over and have it actually be kinda decent. I do have a major opinion with Ash Greninja, and I have mentioned something about it before. My personal opinion is that Ash Greninja or Battle Bond Greninja should not be used in Ubers, or yes, that includes OU as well and lower, because there's a Robux paywall to get it. I am aware it's like 50 cents, but to free-to-play players it's just not fair. Yeah, the Pokemon is really fragile, but it's essentially pay to win because it is that strong. You can have half a brain and still use Ash Greninja and sweep with the Rain Boosted Surf. For example, Surf in choice specs plus stab plus rain makes it do 303 power damage. That's more than an explosion. And it's also fast, let's keep that in mind. Although I did lose to that Latios, I didn't have AV Tornado's Healy to deal with Ferrothorn. If I did, I would have won that game by sweeping with Gran or another Pokemon 100%. What I'm trying to say is the financial barrier to essentially sweep with something absurd and have something to deal with Battle Bond Greninja at all times in every team is just straight up annoying. I mean, there's a reason why Gen 7 OU banned Battle Bond Greninja. Battle Bond Greninja is also a second Mega Evolution as well, so having 2 Megas on one team is kind of absurd as well. But that's my opinion. Let me know what you think. Other than that, thanks for watching, and goodbye.